Hello and welcome back to the series of disaster recovery. My name is Rahim Sheikh and today we are going to talk about disaster recovery planning for cloud and DR on cloud. So let's get started. Today there are many business they are migrating from on-premises to the cloud, and cloud itself is highly available, but there is no automated way to do the DR for a cloud, and you just need to use few tools and few implementation settings, and that will help you to do your cloud or make your cloud setup as a DR ready. Okay, so coming back to the whiteboard, we'll start the production cloud with Onpremise setup as well as how we can do the DR for cloud only. So let's assume I have a DR site, or I'll write production right here as always. This is my prod, and I have a on-premise data center that I have many important systems or servers which are required for my users to use. Let's say I have a DC and other important things which are available in my data centers. I have a production cloud. So this chapter is not for AWS or Amazon or any Google kind of cloud service. This is a generic cloud service. So you can relate any cloud provider, because we are not talking about the availability zones or any kind of high availability. We are talking about DR solution for cloud. So here I'm just saying cloud, rather saying CLD or CID. I'll just type cloud. So this is my cloud environment where I have most of the devices, or most of the communication happens between your production on-prem and cloud. That's between IPsec or site-to-site VPN tunnel. So what happened in the cloud VPC, whether it's Amazon or any other, you set up a site-to-site VPN between your data center and cloud, so that your cloud systems are accessible from your data centers, or this data center is always at your office location. For example, you have an office and where your data center resides, so your users which are accessing this system, they can access the cloud, and they're not aware whether your systems are on-premise or they are on the cloud, because they are accessible from your data center. If you have a web-based application which does not require any special authentication to access your cloud application, for example, you have a marketing website, or you have some website which is www.xyz.com, where you sell your products, and your individual customers access this URL, and these web servers are hosted in a cloud somewhere. So these systems access directly the cloud environment. So what happens whenever you try any DNS name, whether it's a google.com, amazon.com, or anything, let's say rahimsheikh.com, every domain name which is xyz.com has a public IP address associated. So for example, 10. or 102.75.6.43 is the IP address of my xyz.com. So when I purchase this IP address or the domain name, I purchase hosting or sometime so here in my cloud I have this domain name mapping done to this instance or this virtual machine which is in cloud, and that is serving as a web server to this customer. I wanted to do a DR planning for this cloud. So right now we are talking for DR planning for this cloud only. However, you have to make sure your DR as well as your production on-premise is also protected for cloud. And you cannot have a single DR site for cloud as well as production. Yes, it is possible, but let's assume it's a data center provided by AWS or Google. If this data center goes down, where your cloud devices actually hosted, you may lose those servers. And when you initiate a DR site recovery or disaster recovery for this cloud, right? Well, you don't need on-premises because on-premise servers are always up. There's no DR issue or DR invoked at your production on-premise. We are talking about cloud, so I will be concentrating on cloud only. We have already talked about how you can protect your on-premise data centers, whether it's physical or virtual. So that can be, you can watch those videos separately and you will have those understanding. Here, we are talking about recovery of cloud or on-premise. So if you have an on-premise data center, let's say you have a DR site. So this is your prod, and we always talk about production in New York and data center in San Francisco. So we have a San Francisco office where my DR site is situated, and I can have my cloud servers replicated to DR site, or I can use any data mover which basically do the application based replication, who can do the replication of those instances. If your site ready, you cannot use SRM, of course, but if you have new technology recently released between VMware and AWS called VMware on AWS Cloud, if you have such situation, yes, you can use SRM for sure. You will have to check the compatibility or interoperability matrix for that thing. But yes, this is possible. But here we are not talking about VMware on AWS or any other thing. So what we can do, we'll go for a simple solution. So if you have AWS at your production, you can have a Google Cloud or Microsoft Azure Cloud for your DR site. But the instances, if you see the instances provided by AMI, which is AWS, they are specially built or I would say modified to work best on AWS kernel or AWS hardware, which is specially modified for cloud support. So I would recommend, if you have a AWS cloud and you have region somewhere in East USA, you should select the another AWS cloud which is in West, of course, USA, or you can have in India as well, available as per the AWS region which is available. So how you can do the planning, actual stuff. So this is my prod, this is my DR. So I have a cloud instances. Let's assume I have 100 instances. There are many products available in the market which basically do the data mover task for cloud level. So you can have backup and restore. So you can have these instances backed up on some bucket, and that bucket can be replicated to the DR site, which is of course an AWS. Or we can have another solution which is basically, so backup, whenever we talk about backup, yes, it has a higher RPO. And whenever we plan any DR situation, we talk about RPO and we talk about RTO. In today's market, the cloud is such in a demand because it's agile solution, and it's versatility as well as very important is expandable, it's scalable, and it's on demand. Okay, and if you're talking about new situation or new solution which is cloud, you should have a less RPO, also a less RTO. So that will be suitable solution for cloud, because we are not in 18th or 19th century where we are doing backup and restore. So if anybody talking about the DR on cloud with a backup and restore, yes, it is possible, but I would not recommend, because it will have the RTO more than 12 hours, and RPO of course more than 24 hours, because you will be using one day old backup, right? So that is not a recommended solution for me. But yes, you can save costing, so of course you can use that. What's the next option? You can have a replication, right? So there's a problem with the replication is you don't know what storage is AWS providing, or any cloud vendor, they don't give you access to the storage. So you cannot have a storage based replication, right? So this is your, let me draw it. So let's assume this is my prod and this is DR. I cannot do the prod to DR replication because I don't know which vendor of storage they're using, right? Also, I don't have access on the data stores or LUN, so I can just access the VM decays or snapshots. So what we can do is, on cloud, we have to use agent-based replication software. So we have to use agent-based application, which basically do the replication. As what I was saying is, we can use the AWS cloud. If you have production on AWS cloud, we can use AWS at a DR site. It's because if you have AWS and AWS, the communication between those two sites or those two regions will be at a backbone network, and that will be much more cheaper and the faster. Whenever we do the replication, there is a WAN comes into the picture, and this WAN link has a very big effect on your replication, which is RPO, and your recovery time objective, because the faster the RPO, the smoother the recovery. So as we will be using same AWS or let's say it's Azure, so we can use the same Azure network, backbone network, to communicate both the production and DR side. What replication software is available? If you go on the internet, you can just find many applications which are basically doing a replication. There are applications from Vim, from Cloud Endure, and so many others. I never used anyone, so I would recommend you do your own homework for selecting correct replication agent. How I will explain how this replication happens. So what happened? You install agent on your production cloud. Let's say you have 100 instances. So we'll install the agent, and that agent will do work of replication to your DR site. The replication will happen from prod to DR, and here you will have some kind of a receiver who will be acting as an instance basically, and this instance will access those packets, and it will write that data into some of the VM decays or whatever it is. It's not a VM decay, but virtual disk, which will get assigned to the virtual machine, and it will just create a small VM decays for those 100 virtual machines or 100 instances. So those disks will get attached, or those snapshots disks will get attached to instances. So whenever you call a DR, let's assume there is no communication and the site goes down, you still have this on-premise site running, but this cloud is not working and it is down. Okay, there's no connectivity between this cloud and this cloud. You have a replicated data for 100 virtual machines. However, that's unused, and your xyz.com is not working because your public users were using this xyz.com. Also, another resources which were running on this cloud, now it's replicated, but they are in shutdown mode. So you need to have some kind of automation or many tools available for that. Many data replicator also do that automation for you. So you have them recovered as of instances. So those 100 instances will be powered on here. Now you need to plan in advance that how this systems or these production servers will access those systems at the time of disaster. Let's assume you have a domain controller in your primary data center or your on-premise data center. You don't have any domain controller in cloud. Okay, those 100 systems which are get replicated from this cloud to here, and if this cloud environment don't have any connectivity between this production, if there is no connectivity, those systems will not be able to authenticate. So you need to plan in advance to have at the time of disaster, ATOT or ATOD connection, so that your recovered systems can talk to your domain controller and do the authentication. Also the DNS thing. So there are many dependencies which are on your on-premise. Let's assume if you have a domain controller here as well. Okay, you have a DCL authentication, you have a DNS, but if these systems are not talking to your internal servers, and if that is a requirement, there is no use of this DR. So you need to plan a connectivity between your on-premise and your DR. Second, you remember our web server in on-premise production was hosting to 1075.6.43, which is xyz.com. Users were trying to use that, and they will get that, okay, server is not available, page is not available, website is not available. So how we can fix this? So we have to fix this DNS name resolution with the new IP address. I cannot have same IP address to my DR instance or DR location. So what I need to do, I need to buy one more that has to happen prior to the DR, of course. You cannot invest time. So you get 202.75.3.5 as a new public IP address for your San Francisco location. And if I have this IP address, I just need to update the DNS record for this on-premise, for this domain name. And as soon as it's updated with the new IP address, I will be having my internet-facing users try to talk to this DNS server, and this DNS will say that, okay, this xyz.com is relocated to 202.75.3.5. That's the new IP address, and this request will come to this web server with the new public IP address. Though it is using same private IP address, I need to have the different public IP address. Okay, that is not possible. You can use same public IP address. Recently I learned if you need to increase, because when you update the DNS, it may take up to 1 hour to 24 hours to get the DNS entry updated in all global DNS servers. How you can increase that? You decrease the TTL value for this record so that time to leave. So if my DNS, my system try to access this xyz.com, it will keep that entry for couple of seconds, that number of 100 seconds in their cache. Okay, and if my TTL is low, set to low, my TTL, my DNS entries will get refreshed, and my DNS table IP table will get updated as soon as possible, and the new table or new IP address will get refreshed, and it will be much more faster. So I don't have to wait for 1 to 24 hours. We can decrease it to 20 minutes or 2 minutes or 5 minutes as per the requirement, as per the RTO. Next part. How my users which are in office access those recovered systems at the DR site. So if I have, as we said, we have a connectivity between on-premise data center and the recovered AWS instance or AWS cloud, then systems guys or the users will not be able to understand whether they are using production cloud or DR cloud. So it will be much more easy for them. Okay, and if you have just a users which are using the laptops to access these recovered systems, okay, sorry for bad drawing, let's assume this is a laptop. Okay, so this is my laptop and my users are accessing those from the internet. So if I have a SSL VPN, so as they are connecting to this data center, and we have a site-to-site VPN connectivity from here to DR, so they will also not able to, they will not have any connectivity issue. Yes, till the time we recover the servers, they will not be able to access, but yes, once you recovered these servers, they will be able to access those recovered systems via same thing. Okay, so this is how you can plan a DR for a cloud in a cloud. Okay, you can plan DR for cloud in the hosted data center as well. You just need to have the same kind of thing, which is a data replicator. You can replace that with the backup, or you can replace that with the replicator or data with the agent-based application, and you can have that. You cannot use SRM for cloud replication for sure, but yes, this is how I try to explain you how you can plan a DR for cloud in a cloud. I hope this session would have informative for you, and you might have took a learning from this, and this must be helpful for you. I would like you to like, share, subscribe my channel, and thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, put that in the comment below or contact me on my blog. I will try to respond as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.